When it comes to hospitality management, real success isn't just about selling rooms night to night. It's about building these really strong strategic long-term partnerships. And today, we're going to dive deep into the roadmap for creating those exact partnerships. We're talking about the B2B Buyer Journey. So let's get right into it.
Hello, and a very warm welcome. My goal here is to give you the tools and insights you really need to excel out there in the hospitality industry. We're about to break down a process that is absolutely crucial for your professional growth. So let's jump right in.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to walk through the 5 key stages of this B2B buyer journey. We'll start with the initial strategy, then move on to recognizing what a client actually needs. From there, we'll look at their evaluation process, how to secure the partnership, and, this is so important, what happens after the contract is signed. Just think of this as your roadmap.
Okay, first things first, let's be super clear about this. Corporate hospitality, it's a whole different ballgame compared to leisure travel. I mean, you can forget about spontaneous, last-minute bookings. Corporate buyers, they follow this really structured, very deliberate process. And why? Because they aren't just buying a room for the night. No, they're investing in a long-term solution for their entire business.
So what exactly is this B2B buyer journey we're talking about? Well, think of it as the step-by-step path an organization follows. It starts when they first realize they have a business need. Something like their travel arrangements are a total mess. And it ends when they select and evaluate a long-term hotel partner. And listen, here's why this matters so much to you. Truly understanding this journey, that's what separates a good manager from an exceptional one. All right, let's talk about stage 2. And honestly, you could argue this is the most important piece of the puzzle, recognizing the client's need. See, every single one of these journeys starts with some kind of trigger. Businesses don't just wake up one day and decide to change hotel partners for fun. No, there's always a specific business challenge that forces their hand. And that right there leads us to the big question we have to ask ourselves. What is it that actually pushes a business to start looking for a new hotel partner? Because if you can't understand their pain points, you've got no chance of offering the right solution.
And here they are, the 3 core triggers for that change. First up, rising costs. That's a surefire way to get the procurement team's attention. Second, you've got inconsistent service. I'm talking about things like spotty Wi-Fi or really slow check-ins, stuff that frustrates the actual travelers and kills their productivity. And third, all those operational and administrative headaches, like messy billing that just drives the finance department crazy. Notice how each of these problems hits a different part of their business.
So your role at this stage, it's all about making a crucial mental shift. You have to stop thinking like a salesperson and start acting like a consultant. Seriously, your job right now is not to pitch anything. It's to listen, to ask smart questions, to dig really deep and understand what's causing them pain. The solution can only come after you've got the diagnosis right.
Okay, so once a client has identified their need, they move right into the next phase, the rigorous evaluation process. This is where they get really active. They start doing their homework, searching for answers, and comparing all their potential options. They're gathering info, they're looking at proposals, and they're basically stacking up all the potential partners against one another.
And here's a really critical point. You're almost never selling to just one person. You've got different stakeholders, and they all have different priorities. You've got your procurement teams. They're all about the numbers, cost efficiency, contract terms, stable pricing. Then you've got the travel managers. They're focused on the human side of things. Traveler satisfaction, smooth logistics, consistent service. A truly winning proposal has to speak to both of them.
And beyond just those stakeholder priorities, corporate buyers are also working through a pretty practical checklist. Yeah, of course, proximity to their key locations is huge, but they're also asking some tough questions. Is the service reliable every single time? How flexible are you going to be with contracts and booking? And maybe the most important question of all, is your proposal actually clear, tailored, and transparent? Because let me tell you, a generic one-size-fits-all offer is a guaranteed way to get ignored.
All right, let's move into the 4th stage, securing the partnership. So after all the research, after all the comparisons are done, the client is finally getting ready to make a decision. Inside their company, discussions are intensifying and the final negotiations are about to begin. This is the moment. This is where all your hard work pays off and turns into a signed agreement.
So what are those final steps to getting an agreement? Well, it's a pretty clear process. Step 1, you deliver that perfectly tailored proposal we talked about. Step 2, and this is a big one, you conduct a site visit to really build credibility. Step 3 is the final negotiation on all the key terms. And then, step 4, you sign the contract. See how each one builds logically on the one before it?
And this really gets to the heart of why that site visit is so important. Look, a proposal, it's just words on paper, right? Clients need assurance. They need to believe you can consistently deliver on what you promised. The site visit is your chance to prove it. It's where you turn those promises into something real, something tangible. They can see the quality for themselves, they can meet your team, and they can walk away feeling totally confident that you can get the job done. Okay, so the contract is signed, the journey's over, right? Wrong. That is a massive, massive mistake. We are now entering what might be the most crucial part, the fifth and final stage, which is all about what happens beyond the contract. This is where the real partnership actually begins, and trust me, this stage is what determines whether you get that contract renewed or you get replaced. And you can really see the two different ways of thinking about this here. The transactional view is, okay, the deal is done, what's next? But the partnership view, it understands that the signature on the contract is just the starting line. Now the work truly begins. The focus has to shift completely from selling to executing, from closing a deal to nurturing a relationship. That's the mindset that gets you renewals. So how do you actually make that happen? Well, here are the keys to long-term success. First, your operational execution has to be flawless. I mean, every check-in, every request, every invoice. Second, you've got to be proactive about collecting feedback from their employees who are actually staying with you. Third, you need to conduct regular performance reviews to show them the value you're providing. And fourth, and this is a big one, you have to maintain open and honest communication, always. And what's the ultimate payoff for all this hard work? Well, it all comes down to this: one single, satisfied client. Because from that one successful partnership, two incredible things happen. First, you get contract renewals. That's your stable, predictable revenue. And second, you get powerful professional referrals. And let's be honest, that is the best, most valuable source of new business you could ever ask for. So, let's just bring this all home. This whole B2B buyer journey, it's about a fundamental shift in your thinking. The ultimate goal here is to transform your hotel from being just another vendor, a simple line item on an expense report, into a truly reliable, indispensable business partner, one who is actively helping your clients succeed. So, I'll leave you with this one question to think about as you move forward in your career. Based on everything we've talked about today, how will you personally elevate your role from just being a vendor to becoming that vital business partner for your clients? Because ultimately, your answer to that question is what's going to define your success in this industry.